y'all, welcome back to Be Divine Minded. It is your girl goddess Fumi, or you can call me Jennifer because that's what my mama named me. So today I'm making a video, which I promised you guys on my last video that I was going to touch on Yemoja, Erzulie, Dantor, and how it relates to the Black or African woman. Beyonce just did Black is King, and she highlighted a bunch of beautiful African goddesses, and I really think that it's important for us to understand. I've seen so many people on social media, saying, oh my God, she's talking about, the devil, voodoo, and black magic, and I just really think it's so ignorant. And a lot of you guys just really may not know. She had the cow outfit and she represented Hathor. I love how she always represents Oshun. I think she did like the goddess Isis. And I just really think it's dope that, maybe now a lot of you guys would start paying more attention to the goddesses of Mother Africa, because that is the goddess energy that we all come from. But I wanted to touch on the fact that, a lot of African women, a lot of Black women in particularly, me being an African American woman or Americanized African, I see that a lot of us are stereotyped as angry and bitter and, very aggressive. And, they often compare us to white women, and they say that, we're loud and we're aggressive, and white women know how to be submissive and cater to their man and all of this bull crap or whatever. But I wanted to give you guys an understanding of why that is and how that energy from Mother Africa has transferred and transformed over into the Caribbean islands and right here in America. I always talk about the laws of God, the laws of nature. And with everything, even God, you got to have a good and you got to have a bad. There's always going to be that law of polarity. The law of duality, the law of polarity. You have to have up and down. You have to have left and right, black and white, good and bad, love and hate. That is within all. So it is also within God, because God is all. So that's why you have that God and that devil aspect. So when we talk about the goddess, of course, there's going to be stories that you hear about the goddess. You hear that she's aggressive and loud, and she can be fierce, and you don't want to call her because she'll do crazy things to you. And when you hear all of those things about the laws, the goddesses, the archetypes, the just that goddess energy, the Orishas, you want to understand that yes, these goddesses have that aspect to them, but they are also still of that same goddess, that same divine goddess energy that is creative and nurturing and loving and, just gives us that good feminine energy. So never, ever deny the goddess energy. Let's talk about Erzulie Dantor. Let's talk about Yemoja. Let's talk about that story of how our great mother traveled with us, y'all. She traveled with our ancestors when they were brought from Africa, brought us over to the land that, completely, took our culture, our names, our spiritual systems, just broke up our families. And, let's just talk about these energies and how amazing this goddess energy is. And, I'm hoping that with this video, you guys will want to research and study for yourselves these particular goddesses so you can understand their story. So maybe you can understand your own story. All right, so first let's talk about Yemoja. I'm only going to talk about her very briefly because I did do a video on her already. So make sure you guys check that one out. But Yemoja is the Yoruba Orisha, all right? And they don't like to look at them as gods and goddesses. They like to look at them as elements of nature. Each Orisha has a different element. You have like the Orisha of storms, the Orisha of oceans, the Orisha of the rivers, the Orisha of lightning, the Orisha of war. So you have like these elements of nature that these Orishas represent, which I think is awesome because I feel like that is how we understand the totality of who God is, by God breaking himself up into different elements so that we can learn to understand each element. Then we can try to understand the bigger picture. But that's for another video. Yemoja is the Orisha of the waters, okay? She's the Orisha of the oceans, and she's known to be the mother of all of the children in Africa. She's basically like the Eve, okay, the African Eve. She has a bunch of different stories out there, so I always suggest you guys research yourself. A lot of the information that I'm giving is just basically information that I learn and that I take to apply to my life. So Yemoja is the mother to all. Now we know that like everything, there's going to be cycles, and when it came time for that cycle for the African children to go through slavery and war and torture. Me as an African American woman, my ancestors have been through some stuff, okay? During the Atlantic slave trade, it was said that Yemoja traveled with her children, okay? And we know that she's the Orisha of the waters, so that is her territory, And it was said that she protected those children, and the children who, were murdered, the children who didn't make it, the children who also committed suicide because they were not going for it. It was said that she actually holds all of those children and their spirits in her bosom, and that she was a guardian for our ancestors, and she traveled along with us. And so I think that it is beautiful how, as those African people were taken to Haiti and, Cuba, those different places where voodoo culture were really big and relevant. I think it's beautiful how even though these certain names change, like, they have a Loa that they consider the mother in the voodoo religion, and her name is Erzulie Dantor. And when you read her story, you see that she is also Mami Wata. She is also the mother mermaid. She is also the mother of the oceans and the waters. The only difference that I notice in their stories is that when it comes to calling Yemoja, it is more comfortable feeling to call her. She is the protector of women. She's going to love you and nurture you, and she's the crone archetype of the Orisha. But when it comes to Erzulie Dantor, she has those same aspects, but then you also see her shadow side, and that shadow side is very aggressive, very intimidating, very fierce, and she can also be very seductive, but she's still the protector of children, the protector of women. She's still nurturing. She's still a mother. As I'm really learning about these different goddesses, and I realized just as a Black woman looking at my ancestors and what they've been through, and also how society looks at a lot of Black women as if we're the angry Black woman, we're bitter, we're aggressive, and we're fierce. I kind of was like, wow, like as an African American woman, or even Jamaican women, and I know Dominican women, and different Caribbean women, they may hear that they're angry and they're aggressive, and and I looked at it like, wow, we are still the African woman, but we also have that shadow aspect that comes from the trauma that we have endured as African women who were taken from our home. Even though it's not our physical body, a lot of us as physical women, yeah, we were born here in Americas or on the islands or whatever. But when you think about the energy and the energy of those who raised us and those who raised the ones who raised us, you have to think about this energy that raised us went through so much trauma, and so we kind of take on those characteristics, knowing that energy is never destroyed. As our ancestors pass on, we are a continuation of that shadow aspect of the great mother, you know what I mean? And it's just like crazy how I feel like if more people understood the spiritual aspect of what's really going on in the physical, I feel like it would be a lot easier. I think a lot of people like to separate what's going on in the spiritual world with what's really going on in the physical. And a lot of times I lose myself by separating it. My desire to connect with Erzulie Dantor and the great mother Yemoja is more in a sense of I want to learn where I come from, but it's also so that I can connect with them, so that I can receive the wisdom and the understanding, so that I, as a physical goddess still walking on this earth, I can guide that energy back to the divine. You know what I mean? That is the point. I feel like as women, as people here on this earth, I feel like we learn about our ancestors and the angels and the Orishas, so that we can learn from that energy, take that energy, and shed light on that energy. I just really honestly, when you look at shadow aspect and shadow work, and you look at how the god and goddesses, they began, to all the stories and all the things that they went through. And even how like Isis and Hathor and, Freya, like these goddesses have a lot of the same stories, and you always see how each of them have that duality. They all have that shadow aspect of them. They can be the goddess of love and the goddess of fertility, but at the same time, they can also be the goddess of lightning and the goddess of, storms, so it's kind of like with me learning myself and learning how to love and appreciate myself and understand myself. I have to understand that I have a shadow aspect of myself as well, but it's up to me to shed light on that aspect. It's up to me to learn how to control those aspects of myself so that I can return the energy back to the divine. All right. And I can't do it myself, y'all. It's like really all of us together. We have to take that energy that we have been blessed with, and we have to take those stories and learn from them and be better and be divine. I would like for all of my men to understand is that when you label the Black woman as strong and aggressive and all of that without understanding the reasons behind that, and you walk away, you're actually adding fuel to that fire instead of putting water on that fire, or shedding light on that shadow. I think it's up to us to work together and heal each other. So that's just a quick video on that. Please do your research. Look up Erzulie Dantor, look up Yemoja, look up the Orishas, look up the Loas, study Voodoo. Get back to African spirituality, y'all, because I'm telling you, that is where it's at. And no, I'm not an expert on it, but I am learning and I'm growing and I'm loving it. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. Hit me up. Find me on Instagram. Everything at Divineminded. Okay. I also have an online shop where I sell a bunch of goddess goodies. And yeah, make sure you stay tuned because I keep telling y'all this on every video. I'm trying to be patient. And I'm just so excited of this new project that I've been working on. Just please stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on my next video.